If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they wanna know. The return. If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The crowd is here and the lights.
Welcome to another episode of the Right Way Podcast, live on the Right Way Sports Network's YouTube channel. I'm kind of excited for tonight's show, guys. We got a jam-packed show. We've kind of got our crew back in the building. I'm joined with Mr. Max Marrero, all the way from the 305. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing well.
Max, where's the energy at? You had so much energy before. Are you ready for tonight's show?
I'm just harnessing it for later today. I'm
Okay.
harnessing it for later in the show.
We've got Lachlan, my guy Will Lachlan, my man, all the way from VT, Virginia. What's going on? How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing great. I'm ready for a great show, ready to be back.
And last but not least, man, we've got that man. We've got that man back in the building. The Cali boy. Well, right now he's known as the Arizona boy, thanks to school. Daniel Alameda, what's going on, brother?
Ready for this, baby. I'm ready.
Welcome back to the building. But before we, jump right into our show, I want to remind you guys, we have an app. What? We have an app. One more time. We have an app out right now on the Google Play Store, on the App Store. Simply type in TWSN. Did you get it? TWSN. The Right Way Sports Network is what it stands for. Type that in to your respective app store and download the app. Leave a review. Give us a 5-star if you like, if you really like our content. And support us. We appreciate it. Guys, got a jam-packed show, a lot to talk about. With that being said, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Will.
Yes, sir. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start in the NBA with Luka Legend, Luka Magic himself, whatever you want to call him. Luka is a bad man. I think we can all agree with that. He put up a historic performance in Game 4, the youngest player in NBA history to put up a 40-point triple-double, also the youngest player in NBA history to put up a buzzer beater in the NBA playoff history. And he did it in the same game, in his 4th playoff game of his career.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start off with Daniel. What are the chances of Luka and the Mavericks without Kristaps Porzingis in Game 5? Do you think the Mavericks can pull off the upset in the series? And if they do, where would you rank Luka in the NBA today?
Ranking Luka in the NBA, I'm going to hold off on that. Let's just talk about Luka Doncic as a player, right? Because heading into this series, we were discussing him maybe as a top 10 player. He was right on the borderline. But in the series, if you don't account for anything that Kawhi Leonard has done in his past, if you look solely at what has happened in the series, Luka Doncic has been the best player overall. So Luka Doncic is performing without Kristaps, and he's playing up against NBA champion. He's playing up against arguably a top 15 player in Paul George, going up against Doc Rivers, going up against arguably the preseason favorites, and he's winning. The series is 2-2 right now, and even though Kristaps isn't in the game for Game 5, he's got the momentum. He's got the momentum right now. And I'm not going to get into Paul George because I have a lot of words to say about Paul George. But the odds are it's 50-50. It's really 50-50 right now. And I would not be shocked if the Mavericks can pull off this upset.
It's an interesting take Daniel has. So to answer your question on where I would rank Luka Doncic, I totally agree with David's comment. He is the top 5 player in the NBA right now. And I attribute a lot of that to the fact that he is one of the most prolific scorers. He can beat you in the post. He can beat you on the dribble. He could post up. He could do whatever the hell he wants on you. He will make whatever he takes. He also has what takes a lot of players a lot of time to develop, and that is the clutch gene, as we saw yesterday, or was it yesterday's game? Or yeah, he hit, or 2 days ago, he hit a dagger 3-pointer to and take the series further and tie the series 2-2. And that was to cap off a 43, 17, and 13 night. Are you kidding me? This guy's insane. Those people that are non-believers that think, he still has more to prove, get out of here. I don't want to hear it. As far as the Clippers, I don't know if I agree with David's take that I have Dallas in 7 games. I do think it's possible. It's more possible than it was, or that I anticipated before the series started. But I'm going to have to lean Clippers in 7. I think the Clippers are built for this. I think the Clippers are a better team. And I think when Paul George hits shots, I don't care how prolific the Mavericks are on the offensive side. I just don't think they have the defense to stop them, whereas the Clippers do have the defense to contain them, especially with a hurt Porzingis. So I think this series should and will go to 7 games, but I'm going to take the Clippers. That being said, no debate, Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in the NBA today.
Woo! Well, listen, I watched that game. I'm old enough to remember when people scoffed at me, when people laughed at me, when people said, not anybody on the podcast, of course, but maybe someone who, maybe was a guest on the podcast at one point in time. Maybe someone who was a Clippers fan. Maybe someone that goes by the last name or first name Grant, I'll say. Old enough to remember when he scoffed, he laughed at me and said, the Clippers are going to make light work of the Dallas Mavericks. And I said, I'm not too sure. Grant, are you listening? Grant, do you see what's going on? Grant, are you there? Listen, the highlight of my night, and I know we're talking about Luka here, but the highlight of my night is literally jumping on Twitter, seeing his meltdown, seeing Clippers fans meltdown, because who could have predicted this? I could have predicted this. I knew this was going to happen. Now, I will tell you this. I didn't know Luka was as good as he is shown to be. I didn't know if Luka, the young Luka Doncic, the great Luka Legend, was ready to carry the mantle and lead his own NBA team. I kind of laughed at that. I said, it's Porzingis' team still. It's Porzingis' team. Luka is Luka and him working as a tandem, but, Porzingis has been in the league a little bit longer. He's the vet. I don't know. He did it without Kristaps Porzingis. Hats off to Luka. Hell yeah, Luka is a great player. Some people are even saying Luka Doncic is top 3 NBA players in the league right now. I even went on Twitter and I saw some people saying Luka Doncic is the best player in the NBA. And I'm not going to go that far. But what I will say is the young man, in the words of Will Loughlin, what Will Loughlin said at the beginning is Luka Doncic is a bad man. He is a bad man. He's exciting to watch. I love watching the guy. That being said, I cannot wait for LeBron James to retire. And here's why. Luka's going to be my guy. You guys know how much I love LeBron James. And I'm saying it now, so before anyone calls me a bandwagon, before anyone says, you just joined because you want to change. No. Luka's the real deal.
Stop it, Malik. You want Malik? Do you want LeBron to retire?
No,
not yet.
Not yet. No, LeBron, don't retire. LeBron, don't retire just yet, please. I need you to either tie Jordan or surpass Jordan.
Come on, man.
And then, you can hand it over to the young GOAT, which is Luka. No, but in all seriousness, Luka is a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal player, exciting to watch. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And I'm predicting the Dallas Mavericks to finish the Clippers off. Now, you got the Clippers fans coming out saying, Paul George is going to have an amazing game tonight. I ain't seeing it yet. I don't know. We still waiting for Paul George. We're still waiting for the self-proclaimed playoff P.
Don't call yourself that when you shoot piss poor from the field.
Right.
Don't call yourself that.
Playoff
it's a joke.
P.
Come on, man.
Playoff
What is that?
P.
Playoff P. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Playoff P is what's really ruining the series for the Clippers. If Playoff P was performing,
A million
There would be
percent.
no discussion. There would be no discussion. Game 1, 27 points. Game 2, 14. Game 3, 11. Game 4, 9 points. He's shooting 20% from the field.
So what you're saying is he's atrocious, Daniel.
Oh, he is beyond atrocious.
For me, I'm just looking at the proof in the pudding, and the guy doesn't do it for me. To be honest with you, I think he's a liability out there. In my honest opinion, Kawhi. You had anybody you could have choose from. You could choose from anybody. Anybody. You chose Paul George? Listen, I said this. I don't know if Paul George has really been the same since he broke his leg or since, even since his Indiana Pacers days. I'm not sure if he's been the same player. I'm not sure if the lights are too bright in LA. I'm not sure what it is. That all being said, I think we can see without a shadow of a doubt, Paul George is dragging this team down. He's dragging this team down. And guys, is it too early to say if he doesn't get it together, he could be out? Is it too early to say that?
Oh yeah. No, it's not too early. It's because it's repeating history over and over and over again. Last year, what happened? Paul George was arguably an MVP candidate. But going into the playoffs with Russell Westbrook as on your team as a number one option, he faltered under pressure. And this year, he doesn't have to be the number one. This year, all they're asking is, hey, Paul George, be our number two guy, score 20 points a game, and you'll be good. But 9 points a game? 20% from the field, that is atrocious. He is holding back this team.
Guys, you want to hear a crazy stat? This 3-game stretch for Paul George, in terms of field goal efficiency, has been the worst 3-game stretch of any player in the playoffs since Bob Cousy in 1960.
Crazy.
When I think of Paul George, all I'm seeing is, that song, doom, 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 under pressure. That's literally what I think this guy is under right now. He's under pressure right now that he can't live up to. Listen, this was supposed to be Kawhi's homecoming. This was supposed to be Kawhi and the Clippers coming out party. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
The thing is with Paul George is some players, all the media and all the fans bashing him, like Damian Lillard, that just inspires him to be better. He just comes out and gets 60 the next game. With Paul George, it's the complete opposite. He wilters under that pressure. That pressure gets into his head. It's all in his head at this point. He just can't make jump shots.
And Will, it was kind of a weak move to me that, like, my guy, you know how LeBron, for instance, I hate to bring up LeBron. I really, really hate to bring up LeBron, of course. But you love him. Yeah, no. I'm just a casual. No, but no, and also listen, when the playoffs start, LeBron does this playoff mode, going dark on,
zero dark.
Zero dark. He's not really doing that this year, really. But
no.
The thing is that I'm watching and I'm seeing and I'm like, maybe Paul George needs to do that. Why the hell do you feel the need to come out and respond to people, the hecklers, the people that you should thrive under this pressure, but you're like, you hurt my feelings. You told me I'm not good, so I'm going to respond to you. Listen, you're a professional athlete. Paul George, we're not having this podcast just to make fun of you. That's not what we're doing, even though it seems like we're making fun of you. But get out of your own head, man. Stop worrying about, listen, you made it to this pinnacle. You're an all-star. And you're sitting here worried about what fans are saying. You feel the need to, blast out on fans who have been heckling you forever. Listen, man. At some point, you got to get thicker skin. And in the words of a lot of friends that I see, they say the Clippers they're not winning the championship. And I think a lot of it comes down to the mental. And it sucks because Kawhi is a hell of a player. Kawhi is that one hell of a player, and I think Kawhi Leonard, if he had more help, not more help around him. Notice I didn't say more help around him because he got a talented team around him. If he had more help, meaning if he had his guys showing up on a consistent basis, I think that this team could go far. But judging by it, looking at them, they're not a championship team. They're just a team.
Look, to your guys' point, if Paul George went out for the rest of the series and dropped 15 at least, it's over. The Clippers are a better team. The Clippers are a better defensive team, and they can beat a team like the Dallas Mavericks that are weak defensively and don't have Porzingis, unfortunately. So it's on Paul George to just go out and do what he does, and that's score points. That's it.
Right.
That's it. They have the team.
And another thing the Clippers have to do is they've been switching. They switch on defense, especially onto Luka, damn near every possession. They need to stop switching as often as they do.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
It's incredible because
I'm glad you brought that up.
Without Patrick Beverley, they have Lou Williams or Reggie Jackson, who are significantly weaker defenders.
Whose idea was it to have Reggie Jackson guarding Luka Doncic with the game on the line? Why isn't Kawhi Leonard guarding him? None of this switcheroonie back and forth. Yeah. Have Kawhi Leonard, have the best player on your team guard The best player, you just have him guard him. Kawhi guarding Luka. Kawhi
100%.
guarding Luka. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. What is this we're doing? Why is Reggie Jackson with the game on the line guarding a top 5 player in the NBA? Why? It makes no sense.
And
Have Kawhi Leonard guard Luka Doncic, and I'm sure that the game is still going to play out the way it's going to play, but at least give yourself a fighting chance, especially when you got Paul George playing like he's playing. At least give yourself a fighting chance and have Luka go against Kawhi. That's all I'm saying, man. Have Kawhi guard that man. It's ridiculous what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and I have this one. As soon as Luka hit that buzzer beater, I had one thing went through my mind. This, for me, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Personally, I thought that this was Luka's Michael Jordan 60-point game against like the Celtics. This was
100%.
This was,
I wholeheartedly agree.
Because the thing is, we see with all-time great players like LeBron, like Magic Johnson, like Michael Jordan, we'll see that they'll have a playoff game where their first all-time great playoff game will just change them from like a special talent or a superstar player into like an all-time great player. With LeBron, it was the Pistons game. 25.
I disagree. With LeBron, it was that Game 6 against Boston when they were down.
But I'm saying the first time where we saw this guy has got something all-time special.
Okay.
Yeah. It was that 25 game because that was before, and I agree. I think that Celtics game was LeBron's best game of all time, but I'm saying that Pistons game came before that, and you could just see it right there. He scored 25 straight points and carried that team to victory again in that game. Magic Johnson came in the NBA Finals without Kareem, had to start at the center position. He came in, had a 30-point triple-double in a must-win playoff game. With Michael Jordan, he's had countless games like that, but the first one was really the 60-point game and a loss against the Celtics. We saw in The Last Dance how monumental and how much of the name of Michael Jordan really changed once he had that kind of an outburst. I think this is Luka's game that we see, okay, this guy's got something all-time special about him, and if he keeps this up, he's going to be one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, considering the fact that he's going against a team that is probably going to beat him, in my opinion, that should beat him, that's better. This is his first real taste of the playoffs, and he could only get better from here. I mean, the guy is only 21 years old, 22 years old. I mean, he could only get better from here, guys. So I totally agree with Will's take.
He still has room to improve as a shooter. I mean, percentage-wise, he shoots like 31.5%, which isn't that great. We obviously know he's a better shooter just because of his degree of difficulty of the three-point shots that he takes, the step backs, from like 5 feet behind the three-point line. I mean, that's a really tough shot to make. But sometimes he's got that shot down pat, like almost like James Harden.
Yeah, he's hitting beautiful shots.
He's in his second year, and he's already got that shot down to a science, which is incredible. So we're going to transition. We talked about the Clippers and the Mavericks series. We're going to talk about the Lakers. Lakers have won 3 straight games.
The Light Show! Let's go!
Malik Sipe. It's just been announced that Damian Lillard will not be playing in Game 5. So the series at this point is all but over. Not really much to talk about when it comes to the Blazers. But for the Lakers, Malik, how are you feeling about the Lakers? How are you feeling about LeBron?
How are you feeling about your boy?
I forgot what movie it was when the guy is he's looking around the Coliseum and he says, "Are you not entertained?" That's literally what that's. Are you guys not entertained? And listen, it was cute. It was fun while it lasted. But I was looking on Twitter. I'm not keep referencing Twitter. It's weird, right? I'm using more Twitter more and more this year. Listen, the grown men are playing. The grown men are playing, right? It's time for the kids to go home. Now the grown men are playing. Listen, that's no shot at Dame. Dame is one hell of a player, but I'm going to tell you this. Dame is not going to win on the Portland Trailblazers. He's not. I love Daniel's I love Daniel's article where basically he is alluding saying Dame needs to get out of Portland. And I agree with you, Daniel. I agree with you. He needs to. This is no knock against CJ McCollum. He's a one hell of a player too. And if I was CJ McCollum, if Dame left, I would leave as well. That being said, this is about the Lakers right now. This whole season is about the Lakers. This series is about the Lakers. By the way, Anthony Davis got snubbed, but we're going to get into that a little later. Listen, the Los Angeles Lakers, my man said it right here. Playoff Bron is different. And I said, as soon as I saw them put them black Mamba jerseys on, you knew they was going to turn up the heat. You know what time it is. It's Lake Show time. And I'm not even a Lakers fan, but I'm a LeBron fan. And I'm excited. I'm super excited to see how the Lakers continue to mesh and continue to gel throughout the rest of the series. But I'd be lying if I told you I was surprised. I'm not surprised, but I am entertained.
Guys, Daniel,
all I want to say is I just want to say recency bias once again. You guys know I love talking about recency bias. Here at ASU, we got a lot of basketball fans. And after the Trailblazers won that game, after Damian Lillard started going off, I heard a lot of murmurs around, hey, Trailblazers in 7. Dame's going to win. Dame's looking better than LeBron. Trailblazers in 6. LeBron's over. And I was sitting there thinking, we've seen this over and over and over again. And I'm just sitting back. I know my boy loves some LeBron, so I'm just sitting back. I'm like, we'll see how the series plays out. How's it playing out? The Lakers are taking over, and I'm not completely sold on the Lakers just yet, but the other teams, the Rockets haven't sold me yet. The Clippers haven't sold me yet. No other team has really caught my attention like the Lakers have. And you know what we have with LeBron James. You know when Anthony Davis is on. You know when all the boys in LA are on. It is time to go.
You know it's the Lake Show time, Dan. You can say it. Say it, Daniel. It's the Lake
I know
Show
it's
time.
the Lake Show time until they meet the Celtics in the finals. But we'll save that. We'll save that discussion.
Listen, I already got it for Grant. I've already got it ready for Grant. You guys remember our bet? You guys remember the bet we made live with Grant on the Right Way podcast? If LeBron gets his championship this year, somebody gonna be calling LeBron his GOAT. That's all I know.
You guys, if you guys tuned into last week's podcast, you'll remember what I said in regards to this matchup. Don't believe the media hype. Don't believe the BS. Lakers were going to win this series 100%. They're the better team going in. Yeah, the Portland Trailblazers were hot and making their shots, and Dame was hitting half-court shots like they're nothing, right? But
it was cute.
Guys.
It was
cute. I mean, come on. It's LeBron James in the playoffs, like Daniel just alluded to. And Anthony Davis, I mean, even with that 2 big man rotation with Nurkic and Whiteside, they can't contain him. They can't contain LeBron. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that Dame is hurt, but even if he wasn't, Lakers are going to win this series pretty easily, and I expect them to win it with the next game they play.
Yeah. And you know what I find kind of funny is the fact that everyone hyped up the Blazers as, the team that's going to contend and push the Lakers. And now that the Lakers are just taking care of business, everyone's saying, the Lakers, they're just playing the Blazers. The Blazers aren't any good. It's just the narrative is flipping again.
It's the narrative. That's all they do. They love the flip-flop, flip-flop. And no disrespect to the Blazers. No disrespect to the Blazers because the Blazers are a good team, but we know who it is. LeBron James in the playoffs.
Listen, in the words of my man Juan Hernandez, which I believe he was quoting a rapper when he said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. LeBron's numbers don't lie. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, we got one more NBA team to talk about. That is the Philadelphia 76ers. Oh, the process, how it has failed so far.
Trust the process.
No, there is no more trust in the process. Philadelphia 76ers got swept by Daniel's Boston Celtics.
Sir.
Quick 4 games. Brett Brown was fired the very next day. So, Max, what do you think is the next step in the process?
Well, I think that Brett Brown was on the hot seat for a very long time. I think he deserved to be fired. But I'm sure he'll find a job somewhere else because he's not that terrible of a coach, but he just wasn't a fit for this team. So what's the biggest problem with the Sixers, in my opinion? It's the fact that, in my opinion, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid don't work. They don't work together. And yes, you can say that their supporting cast this week, giving Tobias Harris $180 million is a ridiculous contract. And then also signing Al Horford to that 4-year max, or close to that, is also nonsensical. But I would really just say that both of them on the court just don't work. So what is that? What is Elton Brand, the GM of the Sixers? What is he supposed to do now? I think he has to trade one of those 2 guys. In my opinion, I would trade Simmons. I think Simmons has a ton of value, and I know Daniel spoke a little bit about that on the website on one of his articles. But I know the Cleveland Cavaliers have been rumored to kind of make a trade package, considering that they have a top tier pick and a couple young assets to help, the Sixers, also maybe Portland, if Damian Lillard doesn't want to be there. But yeah, I think you get rid of Simmons. He's not a true point guard. I don't even know what position you really put him in today's NBA because he's not a consistent jump shooter. He's too big to be a point guard. His distribution's solid, but it's just he's kind of in a weird niche. And I think he needs to be on a team that's developing with a coach that has a long-term goal to help him grow as a player. He can't be on a contender right now. I don't think he's that kind of player. And honestly, Embiid, a lot of the problem with Embiid is, and we spoke about this a little bit last week, Will, when we spoke about Jokic and Embiid. I don't think it's up for debate that if Embiid realized his potential and played up to his potential, he would be undoubtedly the best big man in basketball. He certainly has the ability defensively and offensively for it. It's just with poor coaching and inconsistent play on his part, and I would attribute that to, like I said, poor coaching, but also distractions off the court. With the right coaching staff and the right system, I think Joel Embiid has the makings to thrive in this league. So I think a coaching change is the most important thing, but get rid of Simmons and add shooters to a team that's lacking in them. And they have assets to trade. It's not like they don't. And help Embiid realize his potential. He should be averaging at least 22 and 15 a night, okay? He shouldn't be having a scoreless game like he had in the regular season. Have a guy that can help him realize his potential, and the Sixers will go far.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And for what Tom said, they would be stupid if they traded either Embiid or Simmons. I disagree, because what have they proven to do together? They haven't proven anything. You have to change something up. Right now, this team, they're stuck, right? You're stuck with Al Horford. You're stuck with Tobias Harris. You're giving both those guys $289 million, I believe. $289 million to those guys. You're stuck. So you got to give something up. You got to give up one of your valuable pieces to shift this team up, because this team, as it's currently constructed, is not going to win a championship. And that's what they're going for, right? You need to win a championship. So that is why I propose my trade. Ben Simmons, 2 first-round picks for Damian Lillard. And I think it's a perfect trade, but we won't get into that. I think you have to trade one of them. And in my opinion, Joel Embiid, if you pair him with a scoring guard like a Damian Lillard, that is far more effective than pairing Ben Simmons with a wing. Because if you look at everyone, who can you add? You can maybe add a Jimmy Butler, but I'm taking a Damian Lillard and a Joel Embiid over Ben Simmons and another guy.
Malik?
Look, I want to sit here and debate who should be traded and who should stay, who should go. Should I stay? Should I go? Like this? I'm just coming out with all the hit songs tonight, guys. But no, I want to say congratulations to 76ers fans. I too know how it feels to have a coach in place for so long, get so close, and well, to your point, to you guys' point, make the playoffs every single year and experience a first-round exit. I, too, know that feeling. Trust me, I do. So I'm going to more so speak to what a change of a coach can do. I'm very curious to see who they are going to bring in to be the new head coach of the 76ers. I know that they're interested in Ty Lue. That could be interesting. I'm not so sure that they should just blow the whole entire thing up just yet. I'm curious to see what they're able to put together with a different coach in there, because we know I'm not saying that the coach is going to make a world of difference, but it'll be interesting to see if they're able to experience a little bit more success under a different coach not named Brett Brown. But once again, that's hearsay. Who knows what happens? Who knows what the 76ers are going to do? As of today, the 76ers said none of our stars are on the trade block. So that being said, it leaves me to believe the 76ers don't agree with you, Daniel. Don't agree with you, Max. The 76ers believe in Ben Simmons and believe in Joel Embiid, but they don't believe in Brett Brown, which is why he was handed his walking papers. And Juan, you got that, right? You got that. You saw my Bengals plug there, right? I know how it feels to deal with a coach who's been in place for so long. No, but in all seriousness, let's see what a new coach is able to bring. I say we'll try it one more year, and if it doesn't work, not even try it. I won't even say try it one more year. I would say give it to the trade deadline, around the trade deadline. If it doesn't work, ship them out, get something for it. But let's just see what happens with a new coach in there.
I respect that. No, I definitely respect that. We've seen coaches go into organizations and provide stability, provide things that are much needed in an organization, something that the 76ers have lacked with Brett Brown. So I agree. I think you can't wait a year. I think the trade deadline, if you see this new coach, Ben Simmons and Embiid, start to form be a unit instead of be a cohesive unit, then I think you can continue with this, but my point of view with this team, as it's currently constructed, has to be broken up.
I totally agree in what Daniel just said to finish off his argument. It needs to be blown up, and let me explain why. It's not that they don't have the makings to be a good team. It's that in today's NBA, it's all about, yes, having dominant superstars, but also having shooters around you that can make the three-point shot. That's the way the game is today. And unfortunately, the 76ers don't have a lot of that. So you have to get rid of Tobias Harris, who's getting paid way too much, who can't consistently make a three-point shot. You need to get rid of Al Horford, who's a shell of what he used to be, and see if you can surround yourself with shooters. As a Heat fan, I believe that Jay Rich is a decent player, a good 3-and-D guy, so I don't see why they would get rid of him. I know he has a little bit of a hefty contract, but I would seriously prioritize at least Tobias, if not Ben Simmons and Embiid, despite the fact that I think one of them should go. Definitely Harris and Horford, both of them, not just one. Both of them need to get traded for a ton of assets, especially shooters.
But the question is, who would actually want to trade for, especially Horford? I don't know.
That's a good point.
League that would want to trade for Horford or even Tobias Harris. I mean, Tobias Harris just put up a stinker in basically every single game against the Celtics. I mean,
Stinker.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
That's a good word.
Struggled to get to 20 points consistently.
Let me backtrack on my words real quick.
Daniel's backtracking.
Hold on. Hold on. The 76ers don't need to blow it up. They don't need to blow it up because, as Will just said, you're not going to be able to trade Harris. You're not going to be able to trade Horford. No one wants those contracts. That's why I'm proposing Ben Simmons. He's a piece. He's 24 years old. He's young. He's a potential superstar. Teams will want him. That's why I'm proposing Ben Simmons to the Trailblazers for Damian Lillard. The reason is Ben Simmons, he provides a huge defensive asset. But you got Matisse Thybulle, who's arguably, he was one of my favorite draft picks last year. He's a defensive stud, right? You're already top 10 in defense. You don't really need Ben Simmons' defensive impact. You need a star who can score. You need someone who you can pair with Damian Lillard or with Joel Embiid, and that is Damian Lillard.
I mean, if this was 2K,
okay, so what team would not accept that deal? What team would not accept that deal?
No. The Damian Ben Simmons trade.
Why?
Because why would
Damian
it works, but the Trailblazers.
Damian is Portland.
Okay, but at some point you need to blow it up if you're not winning. At some point you have to. I know how much Damian Lillard means to that franchise, but at some point you have to prioritize winning over your fan base.
Guys, I think a problem with the Sixers that hasn't really been addressed yet is Elton Brand, and he's there to stay. Elton Brand has put together a team with just big names. He's just thrown big names with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and hoping that everything works out. And that's just not how it works, especially with a duo that, like Max, you alluded to, is not exactly a perfect fit. Embiid and Simmons is not a great fit. It's a fit that can have a decent amount of success, and with the right pieces and coaching, could be a championship team, because on paper we've seen their roster and we've seen them have flashes of greatness, very brief flashes. So to me, the Sixers, their problem has just been not prioritizing pieces that fit, prioritizing big names over pieces that actually fit, like JJ Redick. They traded, or I believe they cut or traded Trey Burke for like Raul Neto. I mean, are you kidding me? Trey Burke's the guy who's been balling out for the Mavericks. He's a shooter, and they got rid of him. And they weren't able to get JJ.
They got rid of Jimmy Butler.
Right? Exactly. Jimmy Butler's a way better player than Tobias Harris. It's ridiculous. Elton Brand is unfortunately there to stay. I don't think he's done a great job at all with the 76ers, and I think this Ben Simmons injury provided the Sixers with one more year of Embiid and Simmons, and after that, it's over. Mike Miller. Any more words to say, guys, on anything in the NBA?
I mean, let me just jump in really quick, because you guys know, as a Celtics fan, I have to say this. Jason Tatum will be a future MVP. Jason Tatum is going to...
Where did that come from?
I just need to say it because I'm a huge Jason Tatum fan. Jason Tatum is going to take over the league. Okay,
this was not planned.
Jason Tatum is on the same level of Luka Doncic, 100%. He is on the same level.
It's just I can't. No. I can't do this anymore.
Why?
That's ridiculous. That's
okay. Tell me why. Tell me why.
Absolutely.
Tell me why.
Okay.
Wait. You guys know how we do on the Right Way Sports Network. This was not planned, guys, by the way. But once again, we break the rules. You make the rules and we break them. No, I make the rules and we break them. But listen, Daniel versus Max. Me and Will are going to just sit back. Ding, ding, ding. Let's go.
Okay,
No,
let's go.
I'll let Daniel say his point first, and then I'll go in.
Well, you were just saying. I'm saying Jason Tatum is on the same level of Luka Doncic.
That's the funniest take I've heard in the history of the show. I'm not saying that Jason Tatum isn't a great player, doesn't have the potential to be a really good player. Just at this current level, I don't think you can say Jason Tatum is definitively a top 5 player in the NBA. I think Luka Doncic is definitively a top 5 player in the NBA. When you go out, okay, think about it like this, okay? I'm going to, again, cite last game, 43, 17, and 13. But even in the regular season, he's averaging 28.8 points on 9.4 rebounds and 8.8 assists. That's very close to a triple-double. And he's only 21 years old. I mean, Tatum has been very on and off in terms of his offensive consistency. Yes, disputing that he can't be a great, or he can be a great player. I think he can certainly be a great player. I just think that Luka Doncic is just on another level. At least right now, he's on another level, in my opinion.
Daniel, what does Jason Tatum do best?
Score. He's a scorer.
And I think Luka does that better.
Why? How does he do that better? Who was the best player in the Celtics versus 76ers series?
Jason Tatum.
Luka Doncic just hit a fadeaway three-pointer against arguably the
Okay,
best
and the
player in
Celtics
NBA,
just
Daniel.
swept the 76ers. They didn't even have a chance. There's a difference.
So?
I'm not. You're
Is
saying
that
it's
impressive?
definitively
That's not
better.
impressive, Daniel.
Jason Tatum is doing what he can do. Jason Tatum is leading his team to a sweep. They're not even entering the freaking fourth quarter.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to ask you one question. You take Jason Tatum away from the Celtics right now, and you take Luka Doncic away from the Mavericks, who suffers more?
The Mavericks. Yeah. But Jason Tatum can
End
do
of discussion,
everything.
Daniel. End of
What
discussion.
do you mean? That's impact on a team. That's
Who's more
impact on a
valuable?
team.
He's a better player.
Better player, not more valuable. Who's a better player, not more valuable to their team? Jason Tatum can do everything Luka Doncic can do. They're on the same exact level.
Oh.
Jason Tatum will prove this year. He will prove why once they make the NBA Finals this year, the Celtics will make it. When they make the NBA Finals, he will show you, and you will not be able to say anything. Jason Tatum put up 35 points, 28 points. He led his team to a sweep. He is the best player on his team with Kemba Walker. Everyone who said it heading into the year, Kemba Walker was a better player. Jason Tatum is the best player on the Celtics, best player in that series, and he's doing everything that Luka did except hit a game winner.
Luka's doing everything that Jason Tatum did, but twice as good. And he's single-handedly carrying his team. He is single-handedly
because he's the only scorer that they
into
have on their team. The Celtics have Jaylen Brown who can score.
If Jason Tatum was in the same position as Luka, where say some of these other key guys are hurt, like of course Porzingis for the Mavericks, would Jason Tatum be able to do what Luka Doncic is doing right now and compete against arguably the best team in the NBA single-handedly? Okay.
What makes you say you can't? What makes you say you can't?
His consistency on the offensive end, he's not going to go out.
Jason Tatum has the full bag. He's literally Kobe 2.0. Jason Tatum can score from everywhere on the field. Jason Tatum can.
Daniel, you're completely ignoring one huge.
You're digging yourself in the ground, man. I'm not gonna argue this.
Look at
you just called him Kobe 2.0.
Everywhere on the field, he can hit step backs. He can hit fadeaways. He's proven to do everything. He's proven to hit game winners. You know what he's done that Luka Doncic hasn't done? Dunk on LeBron James in the playoffs.
That makes him better. So that makes him better, right?
I'm saying
better because he's more athletic. That makes him better.
On the same level. Okay. He's on the same level. Never once did I say he's better. He's on the same exact level.
Guys,
and hey, we'll see. We'll see. I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna be right. Jason Tatum can do everything that Luka can do.
Daniel, here's what separates Luka from Jason Tatum. What separates him is his playmaking, his passing, his ability to influence the game and facilitate.
And Jason Tatum can't influence his game?
Jason Tatum does not pass the ball. Jason Tatum is not a good passer. He's not a good playmaker.
He's not a good playmaker? Oh.
He's decent. He's decent.
You just said he's not a good one.
The best in the game. Luka is one of the best playmakers and passers in the game. What do we say that makes LeBron so special? His ability to pass and get everyone involved. Luka has that same ability. I mean, that's what makes LeBron arguably the best offensive player in the game, is because he's top 10 in assists and he's also top 5 in scoring. Luka is going to be there as well. It would be 2.0.
I mean,
Really good. And Jason Tatum is obviously
Okay, Kobe 2.0. Explain me why can he not?
Please take that comment back, Daniel.
Why?
Please, if you want
Why?
any credibility,
Why?
you got to take that
Why?
comment back.
Why?
He's not nearly as efficient. He's not a well-rounded player.
What do you
like
mean
Kobe.
not nearly as efficient? You're saying Kobe Bryant was efficient?
Who would you think is a better 30-point-a-night scorer, Jason Tatum or Kobe Bryant?
Well,
I would take Kobe Bryant to score at 30 a night.
Jason Tatum's 23 years old.
To say he's a clone of Kobe Bryant 2.0.
He can be.
Right
He's
now,
so young, and look what he's doing at 23 years old.
If you're playing on rookie difficulty in 2K, he might be.
What do you mean? He's literally doing everything, putting up 38 points a game in the playoffs. He put up 38 points.
All right, guys,
I love you, Daniel.
I'm as the best player on the Celtics. We'll see.
I'm not continuing this debate.
Look, guys, we got to move on. Luka's a superstar, and Jason Tatum is a star. That's point blank period. That's it. Guys, we're going to be talking about something new, something that we don't often talk about too much, and that is soccer or football, as some people say it. And we're going to bring on Christian.
We're going to be bringing on our analyst, one of our soccer guy, my guy, CDB, as I call him. Hopefully, I'm the only person that calls him that.
He knows his stuff, man. He knows his stuff.
Christian DeBlock in the building. What is going on, Christian?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Man.
Yeah, so we had a bombshell today in the soccer world. Messi has informed Barcelona that he wants off the team. So we're going to start with you, Christian. Malik just left the show. That's unfortunate. Hey, fine. That's fine. We're going to start with you, Christian. What do you think is the next stage of Messi's career? What do you think it's going to look like?
So first of all, I am completely not surprised at all about what happened today. It was not shocking. We've seen Barcelona struggle for the last 5 years or so. Ever since Neymar left, they really haven't replaced him. And this comes as a clear thing for me. I think Ronald Koeman, the manager of FC Barcelona, came out today and a quote came out and said, this is not your team. It's all about the team. Don't worry about privileges and that. So Max will be happy. I believe he will be at Manchester City with his international teammate Sergio Aguero. Pep Guardiola, his former manager, which hurts to say because I'm a Liverpool supporter, and Manchester City are the next best team or best team. We'll see what happens this year, but unfortunately, I believe Manchester City is his next spot.
So I mean, I think that's interesting, and believe me, I hope you're right. But I'm gonna kind of cast some doubt right now and say, I'm not entirely sold that he's going to leave. As we've seen, I mean, this is still a developing story, so we're not 100% sure where he may go 100% or how the situation is going. It's still, ongoing. But frankly, I think the club president for Barca, Jose Bartomeu, will resign. And I don't think it's unfair to say that Messi is bigger than Barcelona. Barcelona is not Barcelona without Messi. Messi is the core representation of that club. He's the greatest player in their history currently. And if you're talking about in terms of legends, and I think for the future, there will never be a player like Lionel Messi. And I don't think that's unfair to say. Look, I don't blame him for doing this. I personally think it's a political ploy. When you have former Barcelona legend and captain Carles Puyol supporting you on Twitter, even though he is the biggest biggest supporter of Barcelona there is on the planet, I think he's in on it. I don't think he's lying when he says he supports Lionel Messi's decision, but I do honestly think that he's going to put Barcelona's interests first, and I think that in part he knows that this is Messi's way of trying to force a front office change and a board change, and I think that starts with the president of the club opting out and resigning. And look, I know there's reports saying he has resigned, that he hasn't resigned. It's all over the place. I think when it's all said and done, he will face pressure from his board of directors. They're going to force him out, and I think Messi will stay at the club.
Yeah, I certainly see why you come up with that point. But I just have some stats quickly. He's 33 years old, first of all, which he's still at a high level. He's probably a still team of the year worthy candidate. He's scored 444 goals in 485 appearances since 2004. He's been with the club his entire career. It's certainly a great argument to point out that he probably is just forcing a change. Their upper management, everybody involved, has been awful for the last 5 years. They've had 6 managers in the last 8 years. Pep Guardiola is the last guy that's brought in consistency as a manager. And like I just mentioned before, they never replaced Neymar. Antoine Griezmann's been underperforming. Ousmane Dembele is underperforming. Philippe Coutinho just won the Champions League with a team that beat them 8-2 in the quarterfinal. It's remarkable to see how disappointing Barcelona has been in the last 5 years, and it'll be a test to see if they can fix it in the next couple weeks before the season starts.
I totally agree. I mean, look, when you have, the state of the club is bad. When your loanee, Felipe Coutinho, like you mentioned, scores 2 goals and gets an assist in the final 15 minutes of a Champions League game in which you're losing 8-2. I mean, that's the state of the club at the moment, right? It's absolutely terrible. And it's a shell of what historically they were and what they were even, I would even argue 3 years ago. I mean, it's crazy. So, look, I think that Messi is one of the most, I don't think it's unfair to say that he's one of the most loyal athletes in all of sports. And I think that even now, even in these tough times, he wants to stay at Barcelona. I don't think he doesn't. I think it's just, look, if losing 8-2 in the Champions League isn't enough, and you have guys like Griezmann underperforming because he's playing out of position, you guys have also Frankie de Jong's playing out of position because they have him as like a center mid instead of like a center defensive mid where he should be playing. And, that extends out to a ton of their players. And they're bringing in older players rather than bringing in younger players. When you swap Arthur for Miralem Pjanic, I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me, right? So, look, I just think with all of that being said, the president of the club is still not opting out. I mean, how much of an ego do you have? I mean, in all seriousness, if you're talking about Bartomeu, how many more bad things do you need to go to happen for you to just realize, you know what, my time is up? No one wants me here. The fans don't want him. Even neutrals are saying he needs to get out of the club. Players like Piqué a couple months back has been verbal on Twitter and on various platforms saying he doesn't believe in him. He's lost the trust of the locker room. He's hired 2 managers in one season and fired them both. I mean, there's so much inconsistency. It starts from the top down. Look, Messi knows that he is the biggest pull in Barcelona, and his wanting to leave or his intentions to leave is going to create dramatic change at the club, and that starts with Bartomeu resigning. And I think eventually he'll come to falling under pressure, and he will resign. And you know what? I think Messi will stay. But if he doesn't, you know damn well that I hope he ends up at Manchester City with Pep. So,
yeah, absolutely. And then just one more thing, and like you just mentioned, he's going to try to force a change. We've seen him do stuff even for Argentina. He left the international stage. Then now he's back. It's something that he's done in the past, which I think is a great point you just mentioned. And yeah, I don't want him at Manchester City, so fingers crossed he stays at Barcelona.
Right.
All right, well, it's fun having Alex back. There we go. There's Daniel.
Hello.
Non-soccer guys have returned.
We let the grown
but
men.
I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Christian DeBlock and the work he does for the Right Way Sports Network. I mean, from a soccer perspective, he really knows his stuff. We may support rival clubs, but that's what makes all of this fun, right? So he's very knowledgeable, and go check out his stuff for sure.
Christian DeBlock is our guy. He is awesome. He's energetic. And guess what? He is a TikTok genius. This guy goes off on TikTok. Let him know where to follow you at on Twitter and stuff, Christian.
On Instagram, I am Christian _DeBlock. On Twitter, I believe it's Christian. Let me get it right here. Christian DBLO5. And TikTok, you can find me. I believe it is Christian DeBlock on TikTok as well if you want to see me there.
Oh my God. You want to see him do his TikTok dances? That'll be awesome. Yo, Christian, thanks so much for joining the podcast, man. It was awesome having you make your debut. I wanted to exit out to make sure you had the proper floor, my man. But thank you so much for joining the show. And we look forward to all the great content that you continue to put forth on the Right Way Sports Network, my man. We'll talk to you.
Guys.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That was Christian, man. Loved having him on. Dude's energetic. He's awesome. Like I said, follow him on TikTok. The guy's a fun follow. He is a fun follow on TikTok. That I will say. Remember, guys, also download the TWSN mobile app. Download the TWSN mobile app. I'll say it again. Download the TWSN mobile app. We are super excited. We are going places. We're doing big things, but that's expected here at the Right Way Sports Network. We're only getting better.
Yes, sir. We got one more topic to talk about today, going to the NFL. The Ravens, they announced they've released Earl Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start with Daniel. You ready?
I'm always ready, man.
Of course. How do you think this is going to impact the Ravens? And also, where do you see Earl Thomas possibly ending up the 2020 season?
Man, it's such a good day to be a Patriots fan. Not about Earl Thomas, but I'm just saying it's always a good day to be a Patriots fan. Cam Newton's our quarterback. Just sitting back, we got Bill Belichick as our head coach. We've got a couple rings on our fingers. Tom Brady, he's given us a couple of those. I think the Patriots, because listen, the only other options for Earl Thomas, we know about the Cowboys. It's the obvious, they're going after Jamal Adams. They're going after everybody.
They're not
apparently.
interested. They're not interested in him.
They're not interested. The 49ers, I heard, aren't interested. The Cleveland Browns, I heard, aren't interested. So if there's a team that has to be interested, Patrick Chung opted out for the season. Maybe that means the New England Patriots swoop up Earl Thomas as our new safety. But that's my prediction. I think he goes to the New England Patriots because I can't see any other team unless I'll hear you guys. I'll hear what you guys have to say, and maybe I'll switch it up. But it looks like an open spot right now. That looks like an open spot. And how does this impact the Ravens? I mean, it's huge. It's huge. You know what Earl Thomas did for them last year? He was their safety. He was their big man on campus. He was, their big hitter in the back end. And, I mean, he really led that secondary to be a big-time unit with Marcus Peters as his cornerback as well. It's a big loss for them. It's a big-time loss for them. And I mean, the whole thing with the Ravens is they're only going to go as far as Lamar Jackson takes them. So if that offense, however good that offense does, that's how far this team will go. So Earl Thomas, while he does have a huge impact on this team, it all relies on Lamar Jackson in the offense.
I won't say that Daniel's take is far-fetched because I understand where you're coming from. I mean, you lose a guy like Patrick Chung, who's a leader on that defense, and you're going to replace him with another guy that's sure to be a leader on that defense. But I just don't know if Earl Thomas is ready to go for a team that's not quite a Super Bowl contender, or not a definitive Super Bowl contender, or even I don't think they're guaranteed for the playoffs at all. I'm sure they can make it, but I don't know if they're guaranteed. That being said, I'm still a believer in the Dallas Cowboys. I think that, despite, the reports saying that they're not interested, I know Jerry Jones, that love affair has been going on for a while, Dallas Cowboys and Earl Thomas. So I'm sure they'll be in the picture. But I'm going to throw in a little bit of a surprise here. I think the Cleveland Browns. Grant Delpit just got hurt towards his Achilles for the year, unfortunately. And I don't know if you guys remember back when Earl Thomas was a free agent before he signed with the Ravens, the Browns were the favorites, and he was in negotiations with the Browns before he ultimately decided to join the Ravens. And how nice would it be if you're Earl Thomas to play the team that just cuts you twice a year, right? Similar to Richard Sherman when the Seahawks got rid of him. So I think that would be really interesting. And honestly, you know what? I'm going to say Cleveland Browns. Why not? Okay.
So here's what I'm going to say. You both bring up great points. And Daniel, you're always coming in clutch with the Patriots take always. I'm going to throw a little bit different name. Max, you had alluded. You said you're not sure if Earl Thomas is ready to play with a team that isn't a Super Bowl contender. We don't know if the Cleveland Browns are ready for that just yet.
Well, I think, look, okay, to your point.
I think talent on their team, they should.
I don't know about Super Bowl. I don't know about Super Bowl. To your point, I should have been clear. I think they're definitely going to make the playoffs, though.
But I got something for you, man. I got something for you. I got the perfect ingredient, the perfect remedy. A team that targeted Earl Thomas and they tried to make the best safety back duo in the league. How about them Chiefs? How about Earl Thomas pairing up with Tyrann Mathieu? They always tried to do it. If you remember, Earl Thomas said he was about to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. You remember that? Earl Thomas back free agency. He said he woke up, he went to bed that night thinking that the next morning he'd wake up on a plane headed to the Kansas City Chiefs to sign a 1-year contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. He said they were the favorite. He said his agent called him in the middle of the night frantically and said, we got a better offer. The Ravens just offered you close to the money you wanted and more security. He said, well, that's an easy. It's a done deal. It's the Ravens. That's fine. The Ravens cut you, Earl Thomas. The Ravens cut you because of conduct detrimental to the team where you punched the other safety. and you can go to the team that not only is undoubtedly a contender, you can go to a team that's the Super Bowl champions. You can go to the team with the best quarterback in the NFL, not named Joe Burrow. You can go to the Kansas City Chiefs, pair up with Tyrann Mathieu, have the best safety back duo in the NFL, and you can make the Baltimore Ravens pay because you know you're bound to see them in the playoffs. But before we could sit here and predict where he's going to go all day. I want to be very frank with Earl Thomas for a second. I want to be very, very frank and very, very blatant. You are teetering, my man. You are teetering. You are tarnishing your legacy slowly but surely. You were once looked at as one of the best defensive players in the NFL. Now, while the guys, my co-hosts, might hold you to high regards on the podcast, let's talk about it. Let's talk facts because that's what we talk on the podcast. You didn't live up to the contract you got in Baltimore. Let's talk about it, which is why a lot of fans, which is why a lot of the coaching staff were upset with you because you ain't been the same, Earl, since you broke your leg. You haven't been the same player. And they brought you there last year to be that reinforcement. Well, where did the Baltimore Ravens struggle last year? Their defense. It took a street free agent linebacker and Josh Bynes to come in there and help shore them up. While you're supposed to be reinforcement, you were out there blocking for Derrick Henry in the playoffs, being his fullback. Earl, let's talk about it. You were once looked at as a dynamic force. You were paired up with Cam Chancellor. You ain't been the same. We're now talking about the Seattle Seahawks. You're gone. We're now talking about the Baltimore Ravens. You're gone. The next step, Earl Thomas, the next destination for you will directly impact your legacy. People will write books and figure out Earl Thomas was such and such and such. There was a point in time you were fearless. Everybody wanted you. Everybody looked at you as the baddest safety in the league. You have the opportunity of a lifetime to rectify that. And if I'm looking at it, Earl, the best team that gives you the opportunity to rectify that, seeing as you play great with other all-pro safeties, is the Kansas City Chiefs. So one thing I'm going to say is take your head out your ass, sign with the Kansas City Chiefs, put your head down, go to work, and reestablish who you are in this league. That is all I have to say about that.
All I'm going to say to that is Juan Thornhill. That's the only reason why I am not so sure about the Kansas City Chiefs, because I'm a huge Juan Thornhill fan.
So, to your point, they play Tyrann Mathieu more in the box. Where do the Kansas City struggle the most at? They don't have any linebackers. Their linebackers are awful, which is why they have to play Tyrann Mathieu down in the box. Well, most of today's NFL, most safeties are being played where, Max? Down in the box. A lot of teams have that 3 safety set because that's the way the league is turning to. You need to have that fast, athletic safety that can keep up with these tight ends, these running backs, and in some scenarios, receivers. You put Tyrann Mathieu down in the box where he excels at, where he impacts the game, where he literally is playing the same position Troy Polamalu played for the Pittsburgh Steelers for years, down in the box, creating disrupt, getting in the backfield, stopping running backs, and you let Earl Thomas do what he does best, play deep, and you let Juan Thornhill do what he does best and play deep, and everybody wins. Because they have not answered the linebacker position yet, which is why an Earl Thomas upgrade to their defense, yes, upgrade to their defense, because that's what it would be. It will allow Tyrann Mathieu to focus on his responsibilities and being that Swiss Army knife. And that's what they need right now. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs are in need of. So, again, Earl Thomas, if I'm you, I'm calling my agent saying I'll take whatever the Kansas City Chiefs offer me now. And I will pair up with Tyrann Mathieu and Juan Thornhill.
If I'm Earl Thomas, I'm going to call my agent. I'm going to say, give me whatever offer the New England Patriots give me. And so I can pair up with Devin McCourtney and Kyle Duggar. Same exact scenario. We know Kyle Duggar.
It's not, though.
Why is it not? Why is it not?
One team, I literally just laid out the fact. One team literally just won a freaking Super Bowl. You guys have Cam Newton. I'm not discrediting you guys right now, but what I'm saying is to Max's point, Earl Thomas wants to play for a contender, which is why he wanted things to work out in Baltimore. He wanted to be a part of a team that had a significant shot at actually getting the job done. And I still think the Patriots got a shot at getting it done. But if we're looking at it, if he has to choose between the Kansas City Chiefs or the New England Patriots, Patrick Mahomes and Cam Newton, Andy Reid, first of all, his personality doesn't even mesh well with a guy like Bill Belichick. I'm just talking about the well-being of the player for right now. Forget opinions. The well-being of the player right now. What's in the best interest of Earl Thomas III? And what's in the best interest of Earl Thomas III is not to sign with the New England Patriots. Maybe a couple of years I would have said, yeah. But right now, where it stands right now, can we all agree that the Kansas City Chiefs are a real threat? Can we all agree with that?
Yeah.
Is anybody going to be shocked to see the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship this year?
No.
Is anybody going to be shocked if Patrick Mahomes potentially wins MVP this year?
No.
Right. My point. They have a lot working for them right now. If I'm Earl Thomas and you want life made easier for you, sign with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Because I know that's what you're doing at this point in time. You're ring chasing. Sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. And guess what? To Mac's point, more than likely you're going to see your old nemesis. You're going to see the Baltimore Ravens again. Now, you won't be able to punch Chuck Clark, but maybe you'll be able to hit Lamar Jackson. Kind of pay back for them releasing you. But that's just my take. Sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. Potentially become a Super Bowl champion because you haven't done that since your days in Seattle.
But let me get in and interject in the middle here because again, I understand Daniel's point about the fit. I just, to your point, Malik, and I mentioned this earlier, I just don't see the Patriots as that appealing of a destination for a guy like Earl Thomas. So let me be the guy in the middle. That's why I proposed Cleveland. Yes, Cleveland is not a Super Bowl contender.
Oh.
That's fair. But I would argue they should be favored to be in the playoffs in that division. I think Baltimore undoubtedly won that division, but I think Cleveland, I don't think it's unfair to say, is probably the second best team in that division. Okay, it's either them or Pittsburgh, but I think they are the second best team in that division. And what do you do if you join a Cleveland, right? Their offense is already set, which obviously we've spoken about the significance of Baker Mayfield and his play for the success of the season.
Trash.
Earl Thomas doesn't have to worry about that.
Trash.
So far he has been. I'm not going to deny it. But on the defensive side, they've upgraded a lot. They re-signed Myles Garrett. And honestly, he has the potential to be a leader on that on that defense. It would be perfect. It's a perfect situation for him, and they have a lot of upside, especially with a guy like Kevin Stefanski. And I think he wants to be on a playoff team.
Matt,
and I think Cleveland is that.
This might pain me to say this. Since we're keeping it in division, what about the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh, boy.
What about
I could see the
Pittsburgh
Steelers.
I would be okay with that.
Terrell Edmonds is a bum at safety. You could push him down to linebacker, right? You can have him cover.
I'm not going to disagree with that take at all. I could totally see that too.
I would hate it as a Bengals fan, but maybe that's a good move for him. Maybe that's a good move for Earl Thomas.
And that's a really established defense too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing, it seems like we're all in favor of keeping him in the AFC for the most part. But 100%. I mean, another team that's outside of the AFC that could be maybe the Eagles. Maybe Darius Slay over there. Maybe they can certainly need the help. They don't have Malcolm Jenkins anymore. Maybe. But once again, is Earl Thomas still that safety that's going to terrorize defenses? I don't think he is. I think he's the type of safety now that needs the help. He needs help around him, which is why I think we're all in favor of pairing him up with another marquee safety, a guy like a Minkah Fitzpatrick, Devin McCourty, Derwin James, and the list goes on, so on and so forth. Regardless, can we all agree that the guy needs to get his head on straight? Because they could have released him earlier this summer when that video came out. And all that, the guy's had a lot of ups and downs as of recently. He's still a good player. I'm just, he needs.
Regardless of the team he goes on, there's probably arguably not a better spot than Baltimore. I mean, it's tough that
Kansas
City's there, sure, but I'm saying he was in a perfect situation.
I just think that he was also exposed in Baltimore though, because you saw that he wasn't the same safety that he used to be at times, right? You saw that he struggled a lot. But
honestly, they didn't need him to be. When they have Marlon Humphrey and some of these guys in the secondary, I don't think they really needed him to be,
Right.
That's why I say I think it was a good situation, and he screwed himself. But to your point, he needs to get his head right and find himself in at least a decent situation.
Daniel, why you're smiling over there, Daniel?
I'm just enjoying this, man. Enjoying it.
If Earl Thomas goes to Pittsburgh, is there any doubt that the Steelers have the best defense in the league?
Yes. Still, there's doubt that the Steelers have defense.
Ooh. And who would be a better defense?
The Steelers have still not addressed their biggest issue, and that's cornerback. They have not. You're trying to sell me a Cortland.
But if Earl Thomas is there, who's a better defense? I can't name one.
The 49ers.
Oh, no.
That's the only.
The Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle
Seahawks.
Oh,
no.
How do the 49ers not have a better defense than the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Let's talk about the Seahawks.
Come on, Adam. Let's talk about the Seahawks.
Look at their defensive line. No Jadeveon Clowney. What are we talking about?
I think the only team that's comparable.
Jadeveon Clowney is a gassed-up player that made his name off.
Who else do they have? They have no one on the defensive line. That defensive line is weak.
That defensive line is atrocious. Listen, the only team that's comparable is probably Baltimore. That's the only team that I think you can argue, but I would still say Pittsburgh.
No, Baltimore defense.
Baltimore's defense is trash.
When you add Calais Campbell and you
have Marlon
this year.
Humphrey, that's this year. Calais
Campbell.
I'm
talking about this year.
Oh, yeah,
I'm talking about this year.
Yeah, I'm saying last year they were awful.
No. I'm talking about this year. Yeah. If you had to say, so theoretically, if Earl Thomas went on the Steelers, the only defense you could maybe argue is of that tier is Baltimore. I don't think there's a team outside of that you can make that argument for.
The Niners aren't.
Baltimore, the Niners.
The Niners, no. The Bears, no.
They're there, but
Bears.
The Broncos, no.
Secondaries.
Oh, no Broncos.
Broncos not quite yet.
No.
Bro, their linebacker core has been absolutely destroyed.
Wow, that's crazy. This is crazy.
No,
wait, yeah. Todd Davis got hurt, and what's the rookie?
Justin Trinod, my boy, Justin Trinod.
I saw that. Hey, I saw you did a little bit on him, right?
Yeah.
Or you talked about
on him. Malik laughing.
Crazy. The disrespect for the Niners. That's crazy.
I mean, Fred Warner. I'm a huge Fred Warner fan. One of the most underappreciated linebackers in the entire league.
What's the other linebacker that they got from
Quan Alexander?
Quan Alexander, Nick Bosa.
D Ford.
They got Kinlaw from South Carolina.
Yeah. Eric Armstead.
Okay, fine. You know what? I think Niners probably. Now that I think about it.
Guys, it looks like we ran out of time here on the Right Way podcast, just in time to watch the Clippers lose day versus the Dallas Mavericks. Guys, I want to thank you guys so much for joining in to the Right Way podcast, the flagship show of the Right Way Sports Network. Often imitated, never duplicated. That is what we stand by. I want to thank you guys for always supporting us. Make sure you guys download the Right Way Sports Network mobile app in your respective app stores. That's TWSN on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Download the TWSN mobile app. Hit us with a like. Give us a rating. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the thing says above. And follow us all on our respective social media platforms. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Right Report. Right Report. You can find Daniel on his respectives at Alameda Views. You can find Lachlan at Lachlan Will, Max Marrero, simple as that. You guys can find us, engage with us. We love talking with you guys. But like I said, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you download the TWS mobile app. Stay up to date with everything that we are doing. We are the future. And I say that confidently. We are the future of sports news media, guys. And we are breaking down the barriers. Guys, this was a great show.
Hell yeah.
Great show.
It's
always great talking with you guys. And remember, you guys, you can catch us every single Tuesday night, 9 p.m. live on the Right Way Sports Network's YouTube channel, where we're always bringing you the latest coverage and everything sports. But until next time, guys, as always, this show goes on. Good night, everyone.
If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then how